Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're diving into something that is fundamentally reshaping modern warfare. We're not talking about a bigger bomb or a faster jet. We're talking about something way more elemental, the weaponization of time itself.
So, let me ask you something right off the bat. When you think about the most powerful weapon on a modern battlefield, what comes to mind? Forget missiles, tanks, all the usual stuff for just a second. Yeah, the answer, it's probably not what's popping into your head right now. It's not something you can manufacture or launch.
It might just be time. Yep, you heard that right. Today, we're exploring how the ability to control the pace of events, what the military calls operational tempo, has become the ultimate weapon in the age of the drone.
Okay, so let's get into it. To really wrap our heads around this shift, we first have to understand this core military idea, operational tempo. So what does that actually mean?
Think of it like the heartbeat, the pulse of a military operation. It's not just about being fast, right? It's about the entire rhythm of how you operate. How quickly can you see something, figure out what to do it, and then get ready to go again? The whole point is to set a pace so fast that your opponent just can't keep up. They're always a step behind. Traditionally, this whole tempo thing was kind of like a three-legged stool. First, you had your operational speed, how fast your tanks and troops physically move. Then there's decision rhythm, how fast a commander can get information and tell people what to do. And finally, sustainment pace, how quickly you can refuel, rearm, and get back in the fight. Now, you gotta remember, this old school model was built for a completely different world. A world where information was hard to come by. You're waiting on reports from patrols or crackly radio messages. The whole loop of seeing, deciding, and then acting was paced by humans. And winning often just meant doing that loop a little bit faster than the other guy. But that whole way of thinking, that steady, human-paced rhythm, it has been absolutely demolished by one thing: the drone. And this right here is where the entire script gets flipped. The first, and maybe the biggest change, is in observation. Classic warfare was all about these periodic moments of contact. A scout sees something, a plane does a flyover. Drones have turned that into a relentless, 24/7, unblinking eye in the sky. We've gone from a world of information scarcity to one of total information overload. And the scale of this time compression, it's just wild. We are not talking about shaving a few minutes off here and there. No, this is a fundamental change where entire operational cycles that once took minutes, maybe even hours, are now being crushed down into a matter of seconds. And here's how it plays out. You've got surveillance drones that are constantly watching, forcing soldiers on the ground to operate in these tiny little windows just to avoid being seen. At the same time, strike drones have basically erased the gap between sensor to shooter, the time between being spotted and being targeted. It's not minutes anymore, it's seconds. The scary result is that the margin for error, that little bit of time you had to think or recover from a mistake, it's just gone. So what happens when you force a human being to operate at this insane, machine-driven tempo? Well, the first thing to break isn't the technology. It's the person behind the controls. Our brains just aren't wired for this. An operator staring at multiple high-def video feeds gets hit with intense cognitive strain. They're literally slammed with more visual data than they can possibly process, which leads to what experts call attention dead zones. These moments where focus just slips and a critical detail gets missed. And as fatigue kicks in, their ability to even see motion gets worse, and mistakes start to pile up. But hey, this isn't just about the human operator getting overwhelmed. The pressure starts to crack the very technology that's supposed to be helping them. The systems designed for speed actually start to create their own drag. See, a catastrophic timing failure isn't just one thing going wrong. It's more like a domino effect. It starts small. Maybe a little sensor lag from dust in the air adds a few milliseconds. Then the network gets a little jammed up from too many drones. That adds a few more. The computer on the ground takes a bit longer to process the image. And finally, the overloaded human takes an extra second to figure out what they're seeing. Each delay is tiny, but they stack up into a huge gap between what's really happening and what the operator is seeing. And a huge reason for this digital jam is pretty simple: bandwidth. As you can see here, those high-def video feeds from the spy drones, they eat up almost all the digital highway, slowing down everything else, like the actual commands to fly the drone or the data telling you where it is. So here's the really crucial point. Under pressure, the system starts working against itself. The network gets clogged, Latency, that's the delay between the real world and the screen, it grows, and it starts to warp the operator's perception of what's happening. Even the AI tools designed to help sort through data become bottlenecks, delivering a critical alert just a moment too late. And where does all this pressure, this cascading failure of time, end up? It all lands squarely on the shoulders of the commander, and it puts them in an almost impossible spot. It really all boils down to this one question. When you are drowning in real-time information, but your window to actually do something about it is just a couple of seconds long, how on earth do you make a good, responsible, life-or-death decision? And this timeline, wow, it shows the collapse perfectly. In the old days, making a decision was a process, right? You detect something, your staff analyzes it, the commander thinks it over, then orders go out. Now, it's just detection action. The whole middle part, the part with all the thinking, has been vaporized. And this creates an absolutely brutal dilemma for leaders. The window of opportunity to act might close before you even fully understand what you're looking at. Your own team, who is supposed to bring clarity, is swamped and giving you conflicting reports. The choice to escalate stops being a deliberate strategic one and becomes an instantaneous reaction. In this world, timing discipline, just being able to control your own rhythm, becomes way more important than how many missiles you have. Which brings us to one last really provocative thought to chew on. As technology compresses time down to fractions of a second, you have to ask, is the winner on this new battlefield the one who can act the fastest? Or are they just the first one to make a catastrophic, irreversible mistake? That line is getting dangerously, dangerously thin.